Hi there, it's Lori, and here is the cover. I put a little insert in there that I'm going to put 2026 on. We have the corners of the cover. We have the little thingy here, and painted with gesso and these 4 colors of Kuretake Gonzai. Oh, it's this one here. Nouveau. I'll link the colors below. But I am loving this set of watercolors. It's not inexpensive, but it's not it's okay for a hobbyist as I am. Here we have the inside of the cover, and I've put some of this tape. It's sheer, but it's strong. I don't know if I would call it a masking tape, but I like it a lot because I make my own washi sometimes. So I have it from here down and one down the middle, something covering the brad ring, there we go, and these two here are brad ends from the cover, I don't know what to call this, but anyhow, I did poke a brad through each hole and came out the other side nicely, and I've covered it up now with this tape. And the idea is that, I also made another page. I'm only going to put one signature in here. It's just too much for 2. I'm going to put different prompts on different pages. I might add a flip in, flip out option. But I think for this signature, this one signature, that's enough. So this is the paper napkin, and I add a little watercolor, and that's going to be the first page of the signature. Now I need to think about strengthening this a little bit. I don't know whether to put a ribbon. This is like a burlap ribbon, but it's okay. It's not wonderful, but it's not terrible. I have this watercolor paper, again, that I used these 4 colors from the set and painted. And I was thinking of using one here. So this one, I just colored the top of it. So if it's strengthening the spine, which has a wear on it, which is understandable. I mean, the book is from the 50s. It was on my mother's desk my entire growing up years. The top will show through here. And I don't expect this journal to get a lot of strong use. I'm not going to be. It's going to sit on a shelf, and I'm going to pull it out every now and again as I do something in my 2026, my year. And this will go on this fabric, and it's just plain linen, and I tea-dyed it, so it has that color that's in the digitals from Ink and Page journals. It has the color, and you won't see a lot of it because this is going to be the end papers. This will be where the signature is glued and attached to. But you'll see enough of it, and it'll be a strengthening aspect of the floating spine. That's where I am right now, anyhow. So I thought I'd come and just bite the bullet and do something. You know how it is. Yeah. You think about it, you procrastinate a little bit. You think about it some more, you procrastinate a little more, and nothing actually happens because you're afraid, am I going to ruin it now? Ah! Or maybe you're not like that, but I am. I'm using Fabri-Tac to put this down. And I'm working on a glass mat. I hope that the light, whatever light I have, is not going to be a problem for you with glare. It's hard for me to tell until after I've done the video. So enough of the Fabri-Tac here, and I'm even going to put some on the inside here just to add a little bit of form and function, strength. I don't know, maybe the Fabri-Tac isn't the right one, but it's what I'm using. And when we do our crafting, you know, we want it to work out well. We want things to be beautiful. And sometimes we might feel like we made a mistake and it's not as beautiful as we hoped or could have been or whatever. But remember, it's not life and death. This is our crafting, our art experiences, and they're going to be both positive, and we'll learn something from things when it's not positive. So that's the way I look at things anyhow. I want to learn, I want to get better, and if I make a mistake, my goal is to get better first, and that is the win. So the reason I'm doing this for a floating spine is twofold. One is to increase the stability of the I'm looking for my bone folder. Increase the stability of the actual, this is not my bone folder obviously, but I can't, oh there it is, I see it, sorry. Increase the stability of the spine, because it's just a cardboard spine. Cardboard, I don't know, board. And the other is when you look down the spine, because it's a hollow spine, a floating spine, that you see something interesting on the spine. So those are my two purposes of adding this watercolor strip. Glue, ugh, sticky. How are you doing? Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being a part of this adventure. Are you doing Junk Journal January also? Are you following a set of prompts? I'm actually following two sets of prompts. One from Be Happy Stationery. You can get it for 50% off her digitals until the end of January on her Ko-fi site. The link will be in the description. The other is from Ink and Page Journals. Again, the link will be in the description, so if you're interested. The reason I'm doing the two different prompts is, one is the Ink and Page one are very practical prompts. The Be Happy Stationery with vintage button prompts created by Vintage. I'm sticking. They're more inspirational prompts, and I love the digitals. That's where the inspiration for the painting the paper comes from. So it's interesting how different things can grab us for different reasons. These little clips are from Dollar Tree, or should we say $2 Tree? Now, all right, there it is there. It is glued in, and then the cloth is going to go over top of this, and I'll only glue here. here is the signature. I need to measure the signature so that it is the length I need it to be. Carefully. Let's take the cover and put it to sit for a bit and manage with this. All right, I'm going to start here and end here. And I'm going to dare to rip. Here we go. Let me just put the lid back on my Fabri-Tac because it's starting to bubble. There we go. Is this straight? Maybe. Maybe not. Let's find the middle. I don't know if this is straight. This doesn't look straight. Here. Nope, I don't think so. Let's see if I'll just try and cut a little bit. Do you have difficulty cutting things straight? I do. Let's use my scissors that are dedicated to fabric, and hopefully it'll be an easier experience. That's a little better, I think. A little more straight. Now this will be covered up by the end pages, but still. Having something straight is good. And I tried painting the this so that it with the watercolor, and it just turned out like mud. I think I threw it in the garbage already. I don't know where it is. Or I'd show you. All right, here we go. And we're going to glue this down in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And down the middle. How's that? It's a 1-inch spine. Is that the middle? More or less? More than less. All right. Okay, let's do that with our handy dandy Fabri-Tac. And then of course I'll be sewing through here. I wonder. Okay, I'm going to put some glue here so I remember where it goes. I think I'm going to do the Fabri-Tac on here. It's getting harder and harder to squeeze out. I may have to use some acetone in a bit to thin it out. I've heard about doing that. I have the acetone. I've never tried it. Have you tried that? Thinning out your Fabri-Tac? When I watched, and I forgot her first name, the lady from Ink and Page journals, she used Mod Podge when she created her cover. And I'm really tempted to try it, but I've had better experiences with, I've had successful experiences with Fabri-Tac, so that's why I'm going with it. All right, let's put it down and be brave. There we go. And it's down. be cutting off the excess on both ends as I sew in the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I have a new toy. My grandson, who's 10, he received a 3D printer. It was a gift from his uncle. It's a his uncle bought himself a new one, so the old one went to our grandson, and so he made me a cradle to make it easier, hopefully. I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to try it for this one, to sew in my signatures. And obviously you can use a big book, like an encyclopedia, as your cradle. You don't need a 3D printed cradle. All right, this is how it's going to go in the book once the signatures are it's going to fit there, and these two sides are going to be glued down, but not like only from here to here and here to here. I'm not going to sew the signatures in on camera because I usually have to have it up to my nose to be sure that I'm doing it right. And it's only one signature, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Shouldn't be. And I'm back, and it's a while. It's nighttime, it's dark. But I sewed in the signatures, and I have the end papers on and some trim on either side. So essentially now all I have to do is work on the rest of the prompts. It worked out okay. When you put a signature in, there's always something that you'd rather have done differently. Here's my favorite book, and the lace is the other prompt. So the favorite book, favorite film is from the Junk Journal January UK, hosted by Vintage Button and Be Happy Stationery. And the other one is Lace. That's for Ink and Page, Junk Journal January. In the center of the signature, one signature, is an envelope. And the other flip is about starry and fabric. Those were the two prompts. And this is for day 15, label. And silver is the other Junk Journal January UK. So what I did was use my heat embossing, and I put a silver along the edge, and this is a silver label it of itself, or charm, I don't know, courageous or courage. Takes courage to believe, huh? And a little dangle, that's silver wire, and a bead. I thought that looked pretty there. What I'm missing is for day 14, which is whimsy. I needed a button because one of the Junk Journal January UK prompts was whimsy and the other one was button. So I made myself a button. I don't know if you recognize this picture, but it is from the book, my favorite book, The Forgotten Beasts of Eld. I made a couple of different sizes. One is on the book cover for a book. Yes, I know. And the other one, I just used book pages and glued them together and then put some holes through. And I'm going to put this somewhere for day 15. And my idea is to thread it through the holes, hopefully with the little bit of a cut that's got a sharper point. I can thread it through, okay? And then find a place to glue it on. That makes sense. I'm kind of excited to have this signature in a cover, finally. So where shall I put this for day 15, which is 14, sorry, Button and Whimsy. I've got more of this ribbon here. I thought maybe I could put it here and attach it through. I put 2 holes where I'll put it to the other side of the other page. We've got the little holes marked, and I want to use the ribbon to put it through there too. All right. Yes, this is easier when the pages are not in the book, but it was time. And I'm trying to match up the pencil mark with the hole that I'm punching. 1 and 2. There we go. I'm going to put this through the hole here and tie it on the other side. Or I suppose I could start over here. No, we have ribbon here, so let's just put this on like this. I did look for a whimsical button in my collection of buttons, but there weren't any. I realized as I was watching Lindsay at the Vintage Button create her whimsical spread for this day that I find it difficult to be whimsical. I need to work on that. Maybe pull out some of the books from my childhood and enjoy them again. All right, here we go. And it is attached. I think maybe I'll do it a double. There we go. Really can. Nope. Somehow we have to tame this ribbon. I really don't want to have to glue it down, because the whole point of putting the hole through the page was not to use glue. Maybe if I used something to paper clip. I don't know. So throughout this whole journal, what I've been doing is a lot of watercolor. You've probably seen it. Here's some watercolor. Here's watercolor. And I used 4 colors, but 3 of the 4 are these. And this is a watercolor that I did. And when it was still very wet, I took some salt and I poured it over top. Can you see the interesting, I don't know, detail, I guess? of the salt, it soaks up the watercolor, and then you leave it on till it dries and then brush it off once everything is dry. And it leaves this very interesting design and texture. So somewhere in this book I'm going to use it. Not sure where. But I wondered whether you were interested in seeing at least the watercolor aspect. So this is mixed media paper. I have watercolor paper, but I like the weight of this paper. It's not as heavy as watercolor, and it works okay with the paint. Now we're going to wet these watercolors down a little bit. And I just put some on there like that. And then I take the water. This is just plain water in a regular spray bottle. And let it go all over the place. Let's try this. And as you can see, I'm brushing this one out a little bit so it's a lighter hue. Let's try a different color. Let's add, oh dear, that's not a different color. Obviously I have this color on the brain. All right. I'm gonna see how it travels. Isn't that cool? Can you see how it's spreading? All right, let's do the blue now. And I wouldn't even go so far as to say this is watercolor. I'm not drawing pictures. I'm just putting paint on paper. But it's fun. And it works well when you haven't when you don't have designer paper or digital papers, if you want to make your own backing. Let's see what happens if I put a little bit of blue in here. Is it going to spread? I wonder. I might go and get the salt for you, just so you can see it. I think it's so cool. Am I a child? Yes. So maybe this is my whimsy. I can be whimsical with art projects. And I'm leaving a little bit of white in the in between. What you don't want to do is add too many colors, otherwise you'll end up with mud. Okay, I am going to get the salt. I'll be back in a sec. Here's the salt. I keep it in a little jar in the craft room. For this purpose, I will. Can you see how it's gathering the color? I'll bring it up closer so you can see better. And the trick is you have to let it dry in the paint to get the effect. And I may be putting too much salt on. I don't know. I'll lift it up so you can see it closer. Or maybe I'll just zoom in editing. That's what I'll do. Anyhow, it's Lori at Positive Thanks Living. I'm going to just put this somewhere else. And here is my, so this is the one that's completed. This is my book, the spine and the cover, front and back, the edges. When I put the end papers in, they slid underneath here, and I just glued the whole thing on. This is the watercolor paper that I painted just like you saw me doing here, right here. And so it makes a hollow or floating spine. I did a little bit of watercoloring here, and I have a few pages left to do what I need to do for the rest of the prompts, basically the other half of the prompts. I'll add some flip outs and flip ups and flip downs if I need to. There's places I can make a little booklet to slide in. So I think this will work out fine. Originally I was going to do 2 signatures, but just one this time. And embellishing. There we go. We'll see you again on Tuesday, and we'll do maybe a couple of prompts together, or at least one. And I wish you happy crafting. Thanks for joining me, and I welcome everyone coming back and those that are new. And if you've enjoyed this and want to see more, this is all in a playlist, this book, where it started, just as a plain black book. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Bye for now. It's Lori at Positive Thanks Living.